Over the centuries, miracles of Jesus' presence in the Eucharist have been documented, and for the first time, a Vatican-sanctioned exhibit devoted to these miracles has come to Western Massachusetts, on display at St. Elizabeth of Hungary Parish in North Adams. The inspiration behind the Eucharistic Miracles of the world? A teenage boy from Milan, Italy, who unfortunately died before he could see his dream come to fruition in Catholic parishes around the globe. Steve Kiltonick tells us more.
On April 6, the Vatican International Exhibition of the Eucharistic Miracles of the World went on display at St. Elizabeth of Hungary Parish in North Adams. This is the first time it has been seen in Western Massachusetts, having already visited over 3,000 parishes around the globe. It made its way to the city of Steeples through the efforts of parishioner and religious education teacher Debbie Pickering. Some of her confirmation students expressed doubt that Jesus is truly present in the Eucharist, and Pickering wanted to do something to make them believe. After some research, she found out about the exhibition online.
It got me thinking that this would be a very important thing to bring to our parish, and especially for the children in our Faith Formation program, to see examples of these miracles that show that Jesus truly is present in the Eucharist even when we don't see it.
The exhibit includes 153 panels that depict the 152 Eucharistic miracles that have occurred throughout the world in over 20 countries. The panels allow the viewer to virtually visit the places where the miracles have taken place. The exhibition is available free of charge for anyone to download the photographs, historical descriptions, and maps from a DVD. Fortunately for St. Elizabeth's, a Tewksbury Mass couple had already created the posters and stands and were happy to let Pickering borrow the material. They went another step further and drove the posters up to North Adams to set it up in the parish hall gym. The brainchild behind the exhibition was a young boy from Milan, Italy, Carlos Acutis. Acutis was a typical boy in many respects. He loved sports and animals. In another sense, he was very different. Acutis was extremely religious and devoted at a very young age to Jesus and the Eucharist, saying, "The Eucharist is my highway to heaven." A computer whiz kid, at age 11, Acutis began 3 years of research into the Eucharistic Miracles of the world. He did all the programming and developed a website for the material with the ultimate goal to teach the faith to people. Carlos's hope was that
people heard about these miracles, that they would truly believe that Jesus was present in the Eucharist, and that would fill our churches, and people would be lining up to receive Jesus in the Eucharist.
To be always close to Jesus, that's my life plan, Acutis remarked. Unfortunately, his life plan on earth would be short, only 15 years. In 2006, Acutis died from leukemia, never seeing his dream come to fruition fully in Catholic parishes around the world. Carlos's mother took up her son's mission, creating the posters and, since his death, adding more miracles as they were recognized by the Church. Lanciano, Italy, was where the first and oldest miracle took place. In 750 AD, a monastic priest expressed doubt that Jesus was present in the Eucharist.
One day when he was celebrating Mass, when he said the words of consecration, he noticed that the bread changed to flesh and the wine had changed to blood. And he repented right there, and the whole congregation also witnessed it. It was kept on display for centuries, just exposed to the elements.
In the 1970s, the samples were extensively examined scientifically.
They discovered that the flesh was true human flesh, specifically human heart tissue. The blood was human blood of the AB blood type, which has been shown to be on the Shroud of Turin. Every time they test them, have the characteristics as if they were drawn fresh from a live human being that day. So they can't explain that either.
In most of the documented miracles, the Eucharist has been turned into real flesh and blood. The miracles on display are categorized by countries. Italy has the most miracles, 29. While Spain and France have also miracles in double figures, while countries like Croatia, Portugal, Colombia, and India have just one. In India, Jesus' face appeared on the Eucharist during adoration. In addition, there are stories of saints who have lived for many years by consuming only the consecrated Eucharist, as well as other saints' miraculous experience with Holy Communion. Animals also recognized Jesus' presence in the Eucharist when humans didn't.
This peasant was using cattle to pull the plow, and they stopped in their tracks, and they refused to move no matter what he did. And then they knelt down on the ground, and the peasant saw that there was a glowing light. And when he went to check out what the light was, he found the pyx with the consecrated host.
In his Sunday homily, Father Darius Włodarski spoke about a more recent miracle that took place in Poland, where a dropped host turned into flesh.
The histopathological tissue fragments were found containing fragmented parts of the skeletal muscle, most similar to the heart muscle.
It is a beautiful phenomenon to experience and for us to learn because it deepens our faith.
Father Włodarski said each phenomenon is investigated by a local diocesan committee established by a bishop. Based on the scientific evidence, it is presented to the bishop and the Vatican for review before being declared a miracle. Many of the miracle's churches become Eucharistic sanctuaries or shrines of the Eucharistic miracle once approved by the Church.
At times, people have to be jolted with reality, and I think the Eucharistic miracles emphasize the need, or perhaps it's a beautiful witness that this is a beautiful reality, it's a mystery, and it's still part of who we are and what we are.
Włodarski and Pickering hope people make the effort to stop by the exhibit and learn something about their Catholic faith.
I think God gives us these miracles to increase everyone's faith. I think they're very inspiring, and it gives you a different perspective. When you go to Mass, you're really receiving Jesus in the Eucharist. Even if it does not look like flesh, does not look like blood, it truly is. Even though we can't see it, that's what God tells us, and that's the truth.
Let's take a minute to review the backstory of Sokolka. During Mass on October 12, 2008, while giving communion to the faithful, the parish priest unknowingly dropped a consecrated host on the floor. A woman who was about to receive the Eucharist pointed it out to him. According to church protocol, the host was placed in water and stored in a safe place. The reason the consecrated host is placed in water is that Jesus remains present in the Eucharist under the appearance of bread until the appearance of bread has been dissolved in the water. Upon inspection a week later, only a small piece of the host was left, but there was a strange red clot that appeared on its surface. And so the host was removed from the water and placed on a piece of cloth called a corporal, transferred to a safe location. Over time, the host fused with the corporal, and the red clot dried. Only then were two scientists of global fame and specialists in pathological anatomy at the University of Medicine in Joachimsthal consulted. That was in 2009. Here are their findings. The remaining host tissue was from the cardiac muscle, the heart. The cardiac muscle was joined to the consecrated host in an inseparable manner. It was as if the fragment of bread had suddenly transformed itself into the tissue of a living person. The scientists were firm in saying that it was not possible to manipulate an event of this type, and that not even NASA, with all its sophisticated equipment, was able to artificially recreate such a thing. Finally, the local bishop said that the miracle did not contradict the faith of the Church, but rather the miracle simply confirmed it.
Jesus Christ, you are my life. Alleluia, alleluia. Jesus Christ, you are my life. You are my life. Alleluia. Jesus Christ, you are my life. Alleluia, alleluia.
Catholics believe that Jesus Christ is present in the Eucharist in a true, real, and substantial way, with his body and blood, with his soul and divinity. In this way, he makes his sacrifice on the cross present and actual. He becomes our food and drink with his blood and body, uniting us with him and with each other. There have been many Eucharistic miracles around the world that attest to the truth of this belief. In 2008, Sokolka, Poland, a consecrated host was accidentally dropped on the floor, placed in water, and later observed bleeding. Under scientific analysis, the host was shown to be part of the heart muscle. A similar miracle happened in Legnica. After years of scientific studies, the Legnica miracle has been confirmed as authentic by the local bishop and the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith.
Mieszkańców. No to jest taka bardzo zróżnicowana, ale jest taką przewagą ludzi, takich bardzo biednych ludzi.
Our church has about 6,000 parishioners. The parish was established in 1968, and we still have our very first pastor who celebrated 61 years of priesthood. The people come from a variety of backgrounds, but the materially and spiritually poor dominate. Only 16% parishioners practice their Catholic faith. Our parish is not special compared to others, but something significant happened here. On Christmas Day, during the first Holy Mass, this verse was part of the Gospel reading. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. John chapter 1, verse 14. While distributing Holy Communion, by accident, one of our priests dropped the consecrated host on the floor. He picked it up and we put it in the chalice with water to the tabernacle to let it dissolve. Things like this happen sometimes, and usually the Holy Host dissolves on its own. But this one did not.
Hostia rozpuściła zupełnie. No, to czasami tak bywa, że po prostu, że zdarza się czasami rzeczywiście, że komunia święta upadnie. No i zwykle się właśnie hostia rozpuszczała, a ta właśnie nie chciała. Bo właśnie zauważyliśmy.
We noticed the appearance of red stains on it. We informed our bishop about this incident. He decided to wait 2 weeks. The host sank to the bottom of the chalice, but the scullered part with red stains rose to the top of the water. Then the bishop decided to call a special committee to look for the explanation of this sign. The scientific research began. The first tests were performed by the Department of Forensic Medicine in Wrocław.
Która miała wyjaśnić, odpowiedzieć na kilka pytań, jak mamy rozumieć te znaki.
They informed us that the red stains were not the result of human bacteria or any fungus. Then the Department of Forensic Medicine analyzed the host's histological image, and fragments were found to contain parts of cross-strained muscles, most similar to the heart muscle. Additional tests also determined the tissue to be of human origin, and found that the heart muscle fragments bore signs of distress. Our bishop presented the matter to the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith in Rome. Finally, we received permission to publicize this incident as a supernatural event, and we're allowed to expose the miraculous host to the faithful.
Nie wytłaczamy dla nauki.
On July 2nd, 2016, we officially exposed the Holy Host in a special monstrance to the public. People now come to our church to adore Jesus and to pray.
Już jest stawiony. Ludzie mogą oddawać cześć, mogą się modlić. Powstaje pytanie, jak mam rozumieć akurat tego typu ten znak, cudowny znak. Na pewno jest to podpis Pana Jezusa pod
In
każdym
my
Eucharystym.
opinion, Jesus leaves his signature in every Eucharistic host. He wants to tell us that he is present in his body and blood during the Holy Mass as celebrated by the Catholic priest. This is a big help for us to come to deeper understanding of the miracle of the Eucharist and to accept this special gift of his body and blood with more dignity and reverence.
Dobrzy święty byli dobrze przygotowani, żebyśmy ją godnie przeżywali, żebyśmy także nie zaniedbywali spowiedzi świętej, przyjmowali z godnością komunię świętą. Skoro
The results of the scientific test tell us that the heart muscle is in agony. We should ask ourselves, why did he decide to give us a sign of his presence in this way? Because he wants to tell us that he suffers. We are called to penance, to make recompense for Catholics who are lukewarm and for others who maybe intentionally reject the mercy of God and prefer to live apart from him.
nie szanują Eucharystii, nie szanują Ewangelii Świętej. Jaki będzie bieg wydarzeń?
We do not know what will happen in the future, but today we are called to pay a special attention to this miracle and to share it with others.
Ale tak samo i każe nam też głosić to, co nam przekazuje i to też czynimy.